Life, at times, can feel heavy, an endless march through days that seem devoid of purpose. A sense of disconnection from the world around us, a feeling of being lost, or even hopeless. This is a feeling many people face at some point in their lives, even when it seems like everything else keeps moving on. But what if I told you that philosophy could offer some answers? Not through a neat, comfortable solution, but through a way to understand and navigate the uncertainty. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most profound philosophical movements of the 20th century, existentialism, and how it might help us understand depression, the search for meaning, and our role in creating our own purpose in life. At first glance, existentialism might seem like a rather bleak way of thinking. After all, it begins with a simple, yet deeply unsettling premise: life is inherently meaningless. There is no grand, divine blueprint that we can follow, no ultimate purpose that the universe has mapped out for us. This stark reality, that there is no predetermined meaning, can be difficult to confront. And for many, it sparks feelings of anxiety, despair, and depression. But existentialism doesn't shy away from this discomfort. In fact, it embraces it. So, what exactly is existentialism? At its core, existentialism is the philosophical exploration of human freedom, choice, and the search for meaning in an otherwise indifferent universe. One of its most important tenets is that existence precedes essence. This idea was put forward by the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. What does it mean for existence to precede essence? In simple terms, it means that we're not born with a set purpose or a clear essence. Unlike a tool, which is created for a specific function, humans are born first, and only later define who we are and what our purpose is. This gives us the freedom to choose, yet it also places a heavy burden on us to create meaning in our lives. This freedom to choose our meaning is both liberating and daunting. Sartre argued that we are condemned to be free. There is no divine hand to guide us, no external source of meaning to fall back on. And for many, this is where depression begins, a feeling of being adrift, without purpose, without a clear path. When we realize that life doesn't come with inherent meaning, it can trigger what's called an existential crisis. This crisis is a confrontation with the void, the realization that we are free, but also burdened by the responsibility of creating meaning in our lives. This is where many people begin to feel overwhelmed. But existentialism, while acknowledging the weight of this freedom, also offers a radical answer to the struggle. Take Albert Camus, for instance. In his famous essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus presents a metaphor for the human condition, the story of Sisyphus, a figure from Greek mythology condemned to push a boulder up a mountain, only for it to roll back down every time. This task, endless, repetitive, and futile, is a powerful image of human existence. Much like Sisyphus, we can often feel as though our lives are filled with meaningless struggle. Each day, we put in effort, but the meaning of our actions often seems to slip through our fingers. Yet Camus suggests that we must imagine Sisyphus happy. Why? Because in his acceptance of the absurdity of his task, in his defiance of the universe's indifference, Sisyphus becomes free. The key to life, Camus argues, is not to look for some grand cosmic meaning, but to embrace the absurdity of our existence and create meaning in our own way, through our actions, our choices, and our responses to the challenges life presents. But you might ask, how can someone battling depression find meaning in this? How can we move from the void of meaninglessness to something that feels worth living for? This is where existentialism offers something crucial: the freedom to define meaning for ourselves. Depression often arises when we feel disconnected from any sense of purpose. It's as if the world has become an empty canvas, and we don't know what to paint. But existentialism tells us that this blank canvas is an opportunity, not a void to be feared, but a space to create. For existential thinkers like Sartre, meaning is not something we discover, it's something we create. This idea of creating meaning can seem intimidating at first. After all, if everything is on us, the responsibility can feel crushing. But this responsibility is also what makes us free. We are not defined by any external forces, and that means we can choose our own path, regardless of how bleak things might seem. But how does this help with depression? The existentialist perspective on depression is not about fixing it with quick solutions or offering a simple escape. Instead, it encourages us to confront it, to sit with the discomfort, to question it, and crucially, to find ways to live authentically in spite of it. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, built upon these existential ideas with his work in logotherapy. In his book Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl talks about how even in the most unimaginable suffering, we can find meaning through our response to it. Frankl argues that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can choose how we respond to them. Meaning, Frankl suggests, is found in how we face suffering and what we do with it. For Frankl, meaning doesn't come from avoiding pain or discomfort, it comes from embracing the struggle and finding purpose through our choices. In a sense, this is what existentialism offers us in the face of depression, not a way to avoid pain, but a way to confront it and transform it into something meaningful. One way to apply existentialism to depression is by focusing on small actions. Rather than waiting for some profound, life-changing event to give you purpose, existentialism suggests that meaning can be built through daily acts of authenticity. It's about taking ownership of our lives, even in the midst of uncertainty. Every choice we make, no matter how small, contributes to the meaning we are creating for ourselves. For example, you might choose to engage in something you love, art, music, writing, or simply spending time with others. It might seem insignificant at first, but these small, authentic actions accumulate over time, helping to create a sense of self and purpose in a world that might seem indifferent. At its heart, existentialism doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it challenges us to look into the abyss of uncertainty and, with courage, create something meaningful from it. In the face of depression, it teaches us that while we cannot always control our circumstances, we can control how we respond. We can choose to live authentically, create meaning, and embrace the freedom to define our lives, regardless of the suffering that may accompany it. So, if you're feeling lost or overwhelmed, remember this: you are not defined by the absence of meaning. In fact, your struggle is a part of your journey to create it. By embracing the principles of existentialism, you can begin to see your life not as a search for some preordained meaning, but as a canvas for your own creation. You are the artist, and each choice you make adds depth to the masterpiece of your existence. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of existentialism and its relevance to the human experience. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and explore more content on philosophy, mental health, and the journey of self-discovery. Remember, the search for meaning is not a race, it's a process, and you are the one who shapes it.